Alright, Shalom. I like to say Kal Halayim, Wahawadlah, Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham Makakodash. Right, double on the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Peace and blessing to the acrimony will push us through to the four corners of the earth. Right, his brother Yaba. I'll go through a few precepts. I'll entitle it E, which when we put E represents who? Esau. Right, Esau was raised up to be brought down, because we know all the kingdoms in the world that passed and is now, they was raised up by the Lord for a certain time to reign for a certain period until eventually somebody would come and take over, right? It said in Daniel 4:17, it say, this matter is by the decree of the watchers, right? And the watchers represents who? The prophets, right? It's called them seers also. It say, and the demand by of the holy ones, and the holy ones represents those on what the spiritual plane, the angels and so forth. It said to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men. So it's really the Lord, you understand, who does rule. Even though you might see, as all the scriptures say in Proverbs, it say when the righteous bear rule, the people rejoice, and when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. We know ultimately is the Lord that ruling, no matter who is in power. Is the Lord put them there for a certain reason and for a certain period in time, right? Right, rule it in the kingdom of men, and he giveth it to whosoever he will, and set it up over it the basis of men. And right now we had the basis of men over us. You understand? These Caucasians who was living in the mountains, in the rocks, in the holes, who didn't even know nothing about shaving, right? Right now they have a set of Gillette commercials. Before they didn't even know nothing about hygiene, about bathing properly or at all. You understand? Right now they are the ones that ruling over us. And they're ruling over us. Why? Because the Lord put them there in that spot. Just like he put Nebuchadnezzar in his spot, just like he put the Persians and the Greeks, right? And right now we are under who? The Roman rulership, right? But now it represents is more represented as what? The modern day Rome, right? But he put them up for what? A time. Let's say the Romans 9. Read from 17, right? It says, for the scripture said unto Pharaoh, even for this same purpose have I raised thee up, that I might show my power in thee. Because when you go back to when we was in ancient Egypt, the Lord did give Pharaoh a lot of power. You understand? So it would look like if, how would these people ever escape them? And the Lord actually brought ancient Egypt down. And that he said he going to do with this modern day Egypt, he going to bring them down with wonders the same way. He lifted him up and gave him power, so that when he brought him down, it would be made known or plain that whoever it is bring them down have to have power. You understand? They have to be glorious. So that was really the purpose of the Lord giving Pharaoh the power that he had, just to make him an example. And the Lord could do that because he owns everything. He made everything. Alright? We'll go more into that. Right? Have I raised thee up, that I might show my power in thee. So that was really Pharaoh's purpose. And that my name might be declared throughout all the earth. And that going to happen again in the time of our second deliverance, when we actually leave this captivity. When the Lord delivers us from under the hand of Esau and this kingdom, right? Hopefully we are of the elect, right? Verse 18 is say, therefore had he mercy on whom he will have mercy, and whom he will he hardeneth. And that is sure the Lord doesn't extend his mercy to everybody. There are some that he has had mercy on, and has some that he has hardened. Even 2/3 of our people, the scriptures say what? They have eyes what can't see and ears they can't hear, lest they what? Be converted and healed, because they're not ordained to be healed. So the 1/3, and which is the elect, they being shown mercy, but the 2/3, they being hardened. Just like these other nations, they being hardened to do the things that they're doing unto us. Why? Because they have to do this to be able to receive the punishment for doing it. Right? Verse 19 it say, thou wilt say unto me, why doth he yet find fault? For who had resisted his will? And that is show you that nobody can resist the Lord's will. People let's talk about free will and you could do anything you want. You do what the Lord allow you to do. You might think that is you making a choice, but is the Lord putting that choice in you to make. That is why you had to pray. That's why when you pray, you say, deliver us not into temptation, but deliver us from all evil. You know, just I don't remember exactly. You just click back in my head. You know, when I go through that, I say it properly. But that's the reason why you just pray that, because you don't want the Lord to actually allow you to fall into evil. You want Him to keep you from it. Say verse 20, it's saying, nay, but O man, who art thou that repliest against the Most High? Shall the thing formed say to him that formed it, why hast thou made me thus? And that is something that all people love to do. They love to find to themselves that, you know, not only the elect should be saved, all people should be saved. Not only Israel should be able to have the bountifulness of the kingdom, all people, all nations should have the bountifulness of the kingdom. And they never even made a butterfly. You understand? They never created a butterfly in their life. They never did anything extraordinary. But they want to tell the Lord how to run His show. But it don't work that way. The Lord is the one that chooses how things go and don't go. He gave this blessing to Israel. And it's Israel who going to have the bountifulness of the kingdom, not who any individual finds should and shouldn't. You understand? It doesn't work that way. But that is the mindset of Jake. Jake does be quicker to defend the heathens than to even defend their own people. But how it ordained to go is how the Lord said it will go, and that is how it will go. In Romans 9 verse 21, it says, had not the potter power over the clay of the same lump to make one vessel unto honor and another unto dishonor? And that is exactly what happened. The Lord created Israel to be saved, and He created the other heathens to serve under them. You understand? He raised up Pharaoh back in that day at time to be destroyed, to be an example, and to save Israel from him. And in this time He raised up this kingdom to be an example. So when He returns, He going and destroy it and show His power in them the same way. The same thing He did to ancient Egypt is the same thing He go and do to modern day Egypt. You understand? And some people might say that unfair, but fairness is determined by the Lord. The Lord says what is fair and unfair. We just go by it. You understand? That is really their purpose of our actually being here, to have us in captivity according to the prophecy, and to become powerful, so that when the Lord return and take them down, He could show His power throughout the whole earth. Right? Because all the prophecy of the scriptures must be fulfilled. It said in 2 Ezra 6 verse 8, right? It say, and He said unto me from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. And that was they something that the angels recapping for him that happened back in Genesis. Right? So the angel quoting something that happened in Genesis, and that it wasn't a coincidence. You understand? When he grabbed the heel of Esau, that actually symbolized something. Right? It say verse 9, it say, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follow it. And we know before the kingdom, so we know even through the scriptures before the kingdom come, that Esau has to rule. Who is ruling now? Right? America are primarily controlled by Edomites. The whole world right now is controlled by Edomites. When you look at who is the ruling class families, I believe it's 10 families, the elite banking families. And what nation do these people belong from? They are Edomites. They are Esau. They are so-called white people. You understand? You say Esau is the end of the world, and that world represents what a time of rulership, right? When their rulership ends, then it said Jacob is the beginning of it that follow it. That is when our kingdom going to be established, right? The kingdom of heaven, which is also known as the kingdom of Israel, right? Which it doesn't be referred to that in churches, but that is really where it refers to, the kingdom of Israel, and that going on rule forever and ever, as we talk about in in the story of Daniel 2. I wouldn't go through it, but you know, you can read Daniel 2 going down, and they talk about the statues, about the statues that was the statue that Nebuchadnezzar saw, and Nebuchadnezzar represented who? The head of gold, and that is who the Lord put up to reign for a period in time until the Persians came and ruled, and that is who the Lord set up until the Greeks came and ruled. Right? These are people that the Lord set it up to be able to rule for a time and to serve a particular purpose until eventually they were taken down by somebody else. But to the end of the story, what did he say? The rock that was carved out without hands, that rock represents who? Mashiach. And it came and it destroyed the feet of the statue. And that represents what? Mashiach returning, not with smiles and hugs, but to destroy this kingdom. That is why the scripture says in Revelations he wore many crowns, because he come in and take rulership from all these kingdoms, and everything will be ruled under him, and under him will be King David and so forth. You understand? And when you hear these people in Jerusalem right now talking about the Jews' return, they can't show you King David over there. You understand? The Lord say he going and gather his elect from the four corners of the earth. I never see nobody get taken up in the sky. So when did the Jews return? You understand? When did the Jews return? They're still scattered abroad. You understand? Those people across there pretending to be us, waving chickens around the head. They could never be us. They're not even good at pretending. But people will believe them. Right? I'll read one more scripture. 2 Ezra 13. You understand? There's another good reason why the Lord actually building them up, just like with the time of Pharaoh in Egypt, when Pharaoh ride into the sea, you know, with all the military might, trying to fight against the nation of Israel. What the Lord do? The Lord subdue all of them. And it's the same thing that they're going and do in this time also. They're going and try to fight against the Lord again in that time to come. And he will what? He will put them down. He gave them that might to make them feel like they will have a chance, just so that he could show his wonder in them when he put them down. That is just how it is be. They were created as vessels of what? Of dishonor. And they will receive that dishonor. The second is just 13, I'll start from 3. It say, and I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him. Because all the people who gathered under him, who fighting and so forth, they're going to tremble when they see presence. It say, and whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth feeleth when it feeleth the fire. And that represents what? Those chariots, what people is called UFOs. But really and truly, that is actually chariots of the Lord. And they're going to actually send a beam and burn up those people. That way you see them make movies like War of the Worlds and so forth. You understand? And you even hear them talking about building space stations to fight against aliens. And people watch them like, ha ha ha, them crazy. The elites know the things that are going to come to pass. They know the things of the scriptures. The basic Edomites might not know, but the elites, they know these things going to happen. And the Lord putting it in them to believe that they have a fighting chance. You understand? Because prophecy must be fulfilled that they had to show their might and fight against him to lose. That is just how it is. Right? So when you see them making movies like these UFOs, you understand, and coming and actually destroying Earth and so forth, they're giving you snips and bits about what is actually going to happen, but the way that is actually put it across, people will always believe that it's something fake. You understand? That it's some kind of fantasy story. Verse 5, it says, and after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number, it say, from the four winds of the earth, to subdue the man that came out of the sea. And that's what they go and try to do. They go and gather together to fight against him. But I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain, and flew up upon it. And that great mountain they're talking about, that represents a chariot, right? But you know, the prophets don't understand things like UFOs or chariots, and that's why they refer to the UFO as a chariot, or what they call a UFO. What they call a UFO in these times, they refer to it as what? Chariots, because it's an instrument that you just ride upon. They didn't know what else to call it, so that is what they will refer to it as. Right? Verse 7 is say, but I would have seen the region or place whereout the hill was graven and could not. That is show you how big it was. He couldn't even see where like, you know, like when they watch a mountain, you can see the part where the mountain come out of the earth. That chariot was so big he couldn't even see where it starts and where it finish. You understand? It like it covered the whole sky. That will show you how big that chariot going to be. And there's a prophecy that hasn't happened yet. So these are things that are to come. You know, Lord's will, you know, we'll be alive to see it. If not, well, if it's of the elect, you'll be on top of it. The scriptures say what? The dead in Mashiach shall rise first. They're going to be on it. Come in. Alright? Verse 8 is say, and after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were so afraid, and yet does fight. Why? Because the Lord put it in them to fight, because they must fulfill this prophecy. Even in that time to come, they will be afraid, but they will still fight, because they will be put in them to fight, to be taken down. That is their job. That is what the Lord raised them up for. Right? The same thing like with any time of Egypt, when them soldiers was riding into the ocean, they was afraid, but the Lord put it in them to ride in, because they had to be taken down. Right? It's saying, lo, verse 9, it's saying, lo, he saw the violence of the multitude that came, and neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire. And like you see when you watch the alien movies, or how they put the alien movies, you'll see like it's have a beam that has come out of the UFO, and actually beam on the ground and burn things up. You see a sort of in War of the Worlds where it was actually zapping people and turning them to dust. They didn't just think of these ideas. A lot of these movie ideas they just have is from the scriptures. Right. They say he neither lifted up his hand, nor sword, nor any instrument of war, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude, which was prepared to fight, and burned them up every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude, so that the number of the multitude was so big, right? Upon innumerable multitude, a sudden of an innumerable multitude, nothing was to be perceived. So that big multitude that had come to fight him, he just zapped all of them, and they just disappear. Right. Nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. They say, when I saw this, I was afraid. And like I said, this hasn't happened yet. There's a prophecy that is to come. And the prophets back then, how they would explain things, they would say was like actually they refer to how they call the UFOs as what? Chariots. Why? Because it was an instrument to ride on. The only thing they know at that time was chariots, was horses and so forth. You understand? Like how we talk about in Revelations with the riding upon the horse. All they knew to ride upon was horses. They didn't know about mechanical things like cars and jets and all these different things. So they would refer to it like how you'll see they talk about shooting arrows to the end of the earth and so forth. It didn't have arrows that could be shot to the end of the earth, but it have missiles that could be. But they would compare those missiles to what was modern to them, or what they could have compared to at that point in time, because they didn't know anything about missiles or ICBMs. You understand? The scriptures is in what? In allegories. And one of those reasons is why, because a lot of the ways they used to explain it was the modern time for them, which they couldn't perceive or be able to explain it as to what it actually was. They would just give the best explanation that they could. But I don't want to stray too much from the topic. You understand? They're showing you that all these scriptures showing you that the Lord raised all these kingdoms up for a period in time to eventually be put down by someone. And this kingdom, what we're in right now, is the feet of iron, and it's going to be put down by who? The rock, which is Mashiach. So even these scriptures showing you that when the Lord return, it's not going to be with happiness and love, and he will have a rose in his mouth with his hands open, saying peace and love. I'll read one scripture quick as it comes to my mind. I believe it's Revelation 6. Alright, I'm going to go too much. I'll read Revelation 6 and 15 and 16, right? Revelation 6 verse 15 is say, and the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man, hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains. And that represents what? These bunkers that you even see these rich people building bunkers. Why you think they know to build bunkers? Because the Lord put it in them to build bunkers, because all of them are not supposed to die. Some of them have to live past the calamity to be the first fruit of slaves. You understand? But he put it in them to build it and make them think they will get away, because he knew that he have another plan for them, which is whips and chains. Right? Now read verse 16. They ready the point. It say, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. Now why they refer to it as the wrath of the Lamb? Now we know who the Lamb is, which is Mashiach. You understand? Who the world calls Jesus. Why are they afraid of the wrath of the Lamb? Because he is the rock that coming to destroy this kingdom. You understand? He is that rock. That is what this kingdom was set up for, to rule for a time, for him and the angels to come and destroy it. You understand? It wasn't, whenever to talk about the dragon and his angels fight against Michael, and that dragon was the same beast in Daniel 7, which was the same legs in the statue of Nebuchadnezzar. That represents the nation, the kingdom not ruling, fighting against the Lord when it returns. Not that fallen angel thing and you see a big battle in the sky. But that's a whole other topic by itself, There's a whole other topic by itself. I hope it was edifying. With that, I say shalom.